He doesn't like to talk about it much, but to those who know his story, Nicholas Winton is a legend and a hero. 70 years ago, as troops from Nazi Germany marched into Czechoslovakia, Winton worked tirelessly to save the lives of hundreds of young Jews. They came to be known as Winton's children. Veteran CBC News correspondent Joe Schlesinger is himself one of Winton's children. Both men returned to Slovakia recently to attend an occasion like no other.
Queen Elizabeth doing what she's been doing throughout her long reign, showing the flag abroad. But on this state visit last month to Slovakia, her mission was not just showing the British flag. It was also to burnish the reputation of the Slovak one. For 50 years, the Slovaks were always on the losing side. In World War II, their troops fought alongside Nazi Germany. Then, during the Cold War, they were a satellite of the Soviet Union. Now, Bratislava is the capital of a prospering democracy that is a NATO ally and a member of the European Union. But the tarnished past is still there, and the Slovaks are eager to put it behind them. At a state banquet in Bratislava, the Queen obliged them.
Even during this period, there was notable cooperation between our people. I was very pleased, for example, to have met earlier today some of those who exemplify that earlier partnership. Like Sir Nicholas Winton, who laboured to remove many hundreds of Slovak and Czech children beyond the reach of the Nazis.
Ma'am, I'm one of the 669 children. Hey, not a child anymore, but one of his children.
I remember those days well, but not as kindly as the Queen did in her speech. What I remember is that Slovakia's fascist regime of the day didn't need much prompting from the Nazis to persecute my family. In fact, the Slovaks paid the Germans to take my parents off their hands to die in the Holocaust. If it hadn't been for Nicholas Winton, I would have perished with them. Winton was a young stockbroker in London when Nazi Germany invaded what was then Czechoslovakia in the fall of 1938. The Germans broke up what had been a tolerant, multicultural democracy and incorporated much of its territory into Hitler's Reich. The result, a flood of refugees from the German-occupied zone. Winton went to what was left of the country to try to help the refugees. He found them living in miserable conditions, desperate to get out. One particularly vulnerable group, children.
None of the children were being looked after, and I was told that there was no organization to deal with the children. So the idea came to me that these children had to be saved.
And not just those in refugee camps. Many parents from the rest of the country, most of them Jewish, were also eager to get their children to safety. Among them, my parents, who lived in Bratislava. When the Queen arrived for the state banquet the other day, I remembered being in this building 70 years ago when I first heard that my parents wanted to send my brother and me to England. Just until things blow over, my mother told a friend. It all depended, though, on Nicholas Winton. He started from scratch, with next to no organization, compiling lists of hundreds of children, raising money, and battling balky bureaucracies at both ends.
The most difficult side was, of course, finding a family to take the children.
To find homes for them, Winton and a few assistants clipped and pasted photos of the children and distributed them by pamphlet and post. As he saw war coming ever closer, he stepped up his efforts. For the parents, parting with their children at the railway station was painful. They may not have known that they would never see them again, but they could not have helped but think it. Decades later, I would catch myself looking at my own children, trying to recapture a fraction of the dread Those parents, my parents, must have felt then. At the time, though, to me, at age 11, going to England seemed like an adventure.
Liverpool Street Station saw the arrival of another group of refugee children. Another piteous cargo.
Piteous cargo? Hardly. Incredibly lucky was more like it. Even as their families were among the 50 million who died in the war, Nicky's children went on to live full lives. None of us, though, knew who had masterminded our rescue. Not for 50 years. Nicky had not even told his wife Greta about it.
It was a very small part of his life, and he had forgotten about it until we found the papers.
Greta found them when she was cleaning out the attic. Once she did, the story of Nicky's children took on a life of its own. In 1988, Winton was invited into a TV studio, having no idea what was about to hit him.
Managed to save 664 children. This is his scrapbook. There are all kinds of fascinating pictures in it. Back here is the list of all the children. Can I ask, is there anyone in our audience tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton? If so, could you stand up, please?
Sir Nicholas, can I ask you one question? Is there something that you have learned through your life? Some advice for us?
The thing is to be prepared always to help other people if there's an opportunity to do so.
20 years later, knighted by the Queen for his many good works, Sir Nicholas Winton is at age 99 a legend in this part of Europe and a role model for the young.
He is amazing, and I want to be as much alike as him as possible.
That, says Bratislava High School senior Veronika Melasová, means always being aware that now, as then, there's still evil in the world.
It's up to us to not let this happen again.
In that, she's far from alone. As I listen to this newest generation of Slovaks, I'm struck by how different their song is from what I used to hear when I was their age. In those days, Slovaks saw enemies everywhere and sang of shedding their blood. Now, their great-grandsons sing of love for the lost and lonely. Tell every parent and child of every race, they sing, tell all who struggle to keep their faith, that the secret angels in our hearts will guide them through the night. These young voices with their message of compassion are a sign of how much the Slovakia that for so long was on the wrong side of history has changed. And the visit of the Queen, with its pomp and circumstance, has given those changes a royal stamp of approval. The Slovak national anthem sings of wild, thunderous weather, but it adds that the storms will pass and Slovaks will revive. They have indeed, and Slovakia is once again the peaceful, largely tolerant place it was before totalitarian evil engulfed the world when I was a little boy, so long, long ago. Joe Schlesinger, CBC News, Bratislava.